Ski Studios in the house. It's cracking, people. Here we go. Another day, another dollar. Just trying to bring light and happiness to your life. That's my goal. You know, you see me get through these struggles, maybe you realize, hey, I can get through that crap too. You know, it's just Saturday, going to a friend's house, you know, little Thanksgiving day early, you know, thing. Man, I'll tell you this, man, my like time in my life, man, been straight up crazy, man. Everything's been getting thrown at me from every different way. I'm still going strong. Man, work has been, you think, right? My father owns the company, right? You think, hey, this kid's father owns the company, like, he's gonna get treated better. That ain't true at all. My father treats me worse, and he's like partners with this lady. Like, I ain't gonna lie, man, like, I'm been really upset about the whole situation, right? The lady is telling, right, every week she's telling me, yo, this kid Jay, right, he keeps on complaining about you. You can't be singing. You know what I mean? I've talked about that before. You can't be singing, oh, da-da-da-da. Then it's like, oh, you know, I'm trying to quit smoking. Oh, he's taking Zyn. You know how bad Zyn is? If someone else smokes, you don't say nothing to them. Right? I got a Dodge Ram, which I'm in right now. She keeps telling me, oh, you know, Dodges suck, the transmissions go, da-da-da-da. Right? And we got into a little thing, a little tiff, right? So she's like, she has me, I'm sitting down at a machine using it, right, to get my job done. I build cable harnesses, for those of you that don't know. I don't do construction anymore, but, so I'm building them, and, she comes over and she's like, hey, you're sitting in my seat, right? Somebody else was sitting in that seat all morning, and, it is her seat. So whatever, I get up. 30 minutes goes by. She don't sit in the seat once. She only didn't want me sitting in the seat. So I bring it up. I ain't gonna sit there and not say nothing. I don't know. I don't know. I think you're supposed to confront issues. I don't exactly know, like, what is the right way. You know what I mean? I'm a man of God, but I ain't perfect. So I bring it up. I say, hey, you told me not to sit in that seat. Like, it made me feel like almost like a jail type situation. Like, yo, that's my seat. Like, obviously, if you're sitting at someone's table, but like for eating or something, but just like, yo, you straight up deboning it for me, bro? All right, whatever, right? So I say something. She's like, oh, what? Da, da, da. I go, yeah, you're always going on me. Oh, yeah, Chris, it's always you, right? So I go, oh, yeah? It is always me. It is always me, right? I said, this kid, she's been telling me, oh, this kid's ratting you out for singing. Oh, you're coming in too early. Too early, dude? Like, you serious? Like, dude, right? My father runs a company. We get there at 6:45. She's the owner of the company. She hasn't shown up at 6:45 unless there's, like, a serious thing, like my father and me are not coming in. I hold it down. You don't have to get your ass up in the morning, and you live way closer. And we get there. Like, if my father don't get there, obviously I drive up there and I open up. You're making complaints about this. She's like, you should confront him in the parking lot, right? I end up saying something to this other lady that works there, and she's like, oh, she's telling me that she's afraid you're gonna attack him. So you're telling, so I bring all this, I say all this, and I go, yeah, and Cora already told me. You know what I mean? Like, you told me to confront him in the parking lot. You said, don't fight him, but you know. And then you're telling other people at the job, hey, I'm afraid this Chris is gonna attack him. So basically, right, like, she knows my past, man. Like, I've been in trouble, obviously. I've been in trouble. I've been addicted to drugs. I've been to jail, you know, for, using stuff on people, you know, A and B with a weapon, you know what I mean? Like, I get weird because YouTube, like, I'd like to really talk, but I get worried, like, you know, they're gonna do something to my channel. But A and B with a weapon, you know. So like, she knows my past. So meanwhile, she's gassing me up for like months, telling me, yo, this kid did this kid did that. You know what I mean? Like, he's basically ratting me out. And I am upset about it, but obviously it's my father's company. And my father doesn't like confrontation, so he's always holding me back. Oh, don't do that, don't do that. I said, you should confront him. And then so I'm in this argument with her. I said, ain't it your job to confront him? Why am I confronting him? And then the lady in court is like, yeah, you should be confronting him. It's your job. So it's like, dude, you basically, she don't want me there because I'm very outspoken. And I kind of have my father's back on stuff, you know? And she knows while I'm there, I ain't letting nothing go down over my father. You know, my father's a good man, but he's not good with confrontations. He'll hold it in until he just completely blows up. You got to bring it up right when it happens. You can't let that stuff fester. You know what I mean? It's like you're watching basketball, and there's a hit. You can't call the hit 10 minutes later. You have to call it right when it happens. So you get in there and you say your piece. You let that sit fester. It just eats inside of you. You know what I mean? It's like a cancer. You got to treat that right away. Throw some bleach on that, you know? And it's like, boom, that. Then this truck's been nothing but an issue. Nothing but an issue. Oil change turns into a $1,300 oil filter change. The friggin' thing ain't shifting right. Now they're claiming it's the computer battery. I hope I'm on the right path here. I'm about to miss my exit. Jesus, I already did. So, too busy talking to you guys. So, you know, we get into a huge brawl, like, argument over this. I gotta friggin' get over. And, like, it's like, you know, this truck, man, like, I end up, like, I don't know, I don't like talking about money on here. I'm not rich. Like, I'm not rich. I've done as good as I can to save as good as amount as I can. But it's like, I have, like, this truck is just not in a good position right now. I'll tell you that right now. This truck ain't in a good position. I need to get a new vehicle. So I went to multiple dealers, and I end up, like, I'm like, I'll spend 25, maybe 30 on a vehicle. Long story short, I go to a couple dealers, this and that. I didn't like some of the stuff. I end up picking out a truck. Ends up being 35. With the trade they're doing with this one, bing, bada, boom. I still owe more money on it. With everything, the loan ends up being 40 grand. I'm like, this is like double what I wanted to spend. You know what I mean? I'm putting a good amount down, but it's still like a decent payment, man. Payments nowadays, dude, is like rent. Straight up, dude. When I was younger, rent used to be like $600 a month, right? Now it's like, dude, our car payment's $600 a month. It's just ridiculous, dude. Like, this, man. It's like, man, what are you gonna do? Like, you want a good vehicle? Or you want a problem? You know, I want something newer, you know? But it's newer, but it's still like a work truck type vehicle. This friggin' guy's in my way. I should drive him off the friggin' road. But I gotta have my seatbelt on. Look at that, safe driver. Plus, I can't have that dinging going off while I'm doing a video. I don't know, man. Like, life, bro. Life throws you curveballs, right? And then last week, my good friend, Minister Davenport, he's like my best friend, straight up, man. He's been with me. He's held me down. Like, he's been bringing me to church. I had a slip up. He still believes in me, and you know, obviously now, dude, it's really crazy to believe, man. Like, about a month, I'll have 2.5 years clean, and so anyways, right, I'm getting off, but I am thinking about it. Like, he's been there through it, because I was going to church and everything. I had a little slip up. I had to admit it to him. He was harder to tell about the relapse of my parents. My mother maybe a little bit too, but it's just I didn't want to let him down. But now, dude, like, he has me testify in church. Like, you know, you give your testimony, not like testimony on the stand or nothing, but, you know, I just bring up, like, the truth of my life. I didn't go into grim detail, but I was like, yo, I hung out with everybody I hung out with has been to jail at least. I hung out with prostitutes and friggin' criminals, and that's it. You know, I didn't have one friend that didn't go to jail. You know, there's a guy, you know what I mean? Some girls did. You know what I mean? You know how girls are, they get away with a lot. But that was a big thing, man, to actually do that in front of regular people. You know what I mean? There's a couple of, like, people that aren't, you know, not necessarily addicts like I am, but they're people that have been to prison, you know, maybe me and 3 other people at the church. So, but the rest of the people, they're normal people, bro. I gotta admit, you know, hey, man, I was doing that downtown Julie Brown, man. They knew, but, like, you know, I kind of went into some of the detail of it. You know, I've used weapons on people, you know, I just wasn't a nice person. I felt, like, I don't know, in my way, I felt like, yeah, I did still have morals, but they were not right morals, you know what I mean? They were not. I like to, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, when I do these videos, I'm like, man, I could go into these stories of a bunch of stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, I wrote a little note down, see if I got some of this stuff. You know, and yeah, speaking with civilians and everything, man, it's regular people don't understand, like, the, you know, where my brain can go, you know. I have like a new friend I'm chilling with a little bit, and you know, sometimes issues come up, and I'm like, bro, I can, believe me, I can handle. Oh, I don't know, man, this kid's crazy. I'm like, bro, you don't know me. You see me now how I am now, because, like, on here, obviously, I talk the truth, but hopefully this helps people. But because obviously, like, I do talk about negative stuff I've done, and sometimes I even smile and laugh about it because it does seem kind of funny. And even though, like, the regular person would say that's brutal. You know, like, I'm still me, and I know it's wrong, and I don't do that stuff. And, like, somebody was saying, this dude was like this, yo, if you got a weak person, right, and they don't do anything to anybody, is that really them making the choices not to do bad things? Or is it just them, they're just so weak that they could not do anything if it came down to it? Somebody tried to get their girl, they'd be, like, on the ground, not even sticking up for their girl. You know what I mean? They'd watch their girl get brutalized. You know, and that's why you got to be a dangerous person. You don't do the bad things, but you should be dangerous. You should be able and willing to do dangerous and terrible things if it comes to your family or something. But you make the choices to use it only when it's right. You know, you can't just be like, oh, I'm so weak, I couldn't do anything. I'm too scared. You're too scared to do anything. You know, a lot of people are scared to even admit the truth. You know, because the way that the news is now, it has everybody's brain warped to thinking, listen, you grow up and you make a choice on doing whatever you want to do. I don't care if I agree with it or not, you can do it. As long as you ain't hurting nobody else. But, like, they got these people saying, like, hey, I could say, hey, you know what? I'm a female and compete against females. And everybody's like, dude, the news is all going along with it. Dude, that's ridiculous. Just because all you have to do is say I'm a girl. At that point, girl doesn't even have a definite, female doesn't even have a definition. I hate going into, like, political stuff, but sometimes that's what I think about. Like, if I wasn't doing stuff on, you know, like addiction and everything else, my thing would be politics, because I actually listen really deep into the political stuff. I just don't always talk about it. I'd rather talk on personal issues, because I am an independent anyway. I don't go 100% with everything, you know? You look at this whole friggin' government, and it has, like, an undertone. They're on TV, they're all arguing, saying how the other side is so terrible and their side is always good, and it's not true. You know what I mean? It's like, I always say, it's like wrestling. You know, they're arguing and they're yelling on stage, but when it comes down behind the scenes, they're freaking cool playing golf together. They're at each other's weddings. You know? Meanwhile, they're saying the person is the most terrible person. You use any word with an IST at the end of it, and that's what the other person is. You know? I don't know, man. I'm just me. I'm just Ski. You know, Ski Studios cracking in for you guys. I try to do the best I can. I might not be perfect. But you know what? At least I let you know the truth. Because nowadays, people are scared to talk about the truth. You know? They're scared to say the thing. It's like the emperor that has no clothes. No one wants to admit the truth. Everybody just goes along with it. Because if they don't go along with it, then that means that they're the worst thing. It's ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous. That's why, like, even in addiction, you know, it's hard to admit the truth. Because you don't want to admit that you're an addict. You know? But I'm in recovery, and to be honest, I feel like, you know, mentally, I'm more in reality than most of these people. You know? Some of these people are evil. Even if they go to the church steeple, because not all churches are right. You know, you gotta fight. You gotta fight, man. You gotta fight your way. And you gotta say what you really think, because people are hiding their real thoughts nowadays. And you gotta, you know what I mean? You don't enforce it on people. But if somebody asks you, the only reason you have to lie is if you're doing something wrong. So if you're doing something that you believe is wrong, then that's the only reason to lie. Make good choices in life. Be happy to wake up every single day, even when it sucks. You know, I think it's David Goggins says this. Embrace the suck. You know what I mean? Even when it sucks, you gotta embrace that, because you know what? You're alive today. You're breathing. You know what I mean? I heard this thing on Instagram. It was like, oh, you could be complaining that you're in a crappy car. Well, there's a person on a bike that wishes they were in a crappy car. You know? Then there's a person in a bike that's like, man, it sucks having a pedal. But then there's a person on a bus. Friggin' guy is going in the wrong lane. Yeah, I have a little flare-ups in traffic. But you know, and then the person that, you know, is on a bike, they're complaining. Person on a bus wishes they had a bike. And then there's a person that's walking that wishes that they friggin' could be on a friggin' bike. Or a bus. And then there's a person that's in a wheelchair that can't walk. Then there's a person that's, you know, can't even move. You know, it just keeps going down. Then there's a person that got days left of their life, you know? I don't know, man. I just want you to, like, realize that no matter where you are in life, there is somebody that has it worse. Yeah, there's somebody that has it better. That's why you hang out with people that are better, to bring yourself up. You know? I could be a motivational speaker, to be honest with you. But you have to believe that it's in you. You have to believe that God got your back. If you believe that God got you, you could do whatever you want. Look at Stephen Hawking. Dude was walking. He was friggin' using a wheelchair, couldn't barely move. I don't even understand how he did move. But the guy was coming up with all these things. You know, he believes everything was death and destruction at the end of life. So I don't know. He kind of had a negative point of view. But the guy made his mark in society. You know, some things he came up with were good. I believe, anyways, because I might be wrong on that. But he did make his way, and I know a lot of scientists look up to him. But just God bless you all. Hope you're having a great day. If your day sucks, hope it gets better. Hope you got that positive mindset, because a positive mindset is really all you need. If you believe that God is in you and you can do whatever you want, just keep on going, because I'll tell you, if you say today's gonna suck, today will suck. That's why I bring light and happiness to all you suckers out there. You all ain't suckers, man. You're my friends. God bless you all. Love, peace, chicken grease. Subscribe, like, comment, support your man, because I support you. God bless. Peace out.